Hi there, it's Rachel here. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to make sure that you've heard the latest news. I have something exciting to announce. The Unstoppable Success Mastermind is now open. If you have been looking for a space to not just expand your business, but to scale your empire with soul, then this is the place. Expansive container for women just like you. And if you're intrigued and you want to know more, then this is my invite for you to join USM. Go to the show notes and see all the links and all the details. But if you want to book a call with me, come, let's have a chat and see if it's right for you. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Becoming Unstoppable. Today, we're diving into a topic that trips up so many women in business. Yes, that topic is pricing. I want to talk about something that might sound uncomfortable at first. Not everyone can afford you. And here's the truth. Even if you made your services free, not everyone could afford the time. There's always going to be people who think you're too expensive, no matter what your price is. But that is not the reason to lower your prices. In fact, it's a reason to stand more firmly in the value you offer and who you are and what your prices represent. So I want to share with you a story that happened lately. I was doing a free reading on TikTok and I put these on my platform as well as my podcast that I've been doing for years. And someone commented on my TikTok video saying that my prices were outrageous. And this was on a free reading. Now, the old me, if I'd have got a comment around pricing, being too expensive, being outrageous in this case that somebody said, it would have sent me into a spiral of self-doubt. I would have been worried, am I charging too much compared to other people? Am I clearing what I'm offering due to that? Do I need to drop my prices? Am I ever going to make money because I'm outpricing people? There would have been such a narrative and a negative narrative that was going through my mind, making me judge whether my prices were too high, whether I was too expensive, whether I was being outrageous, as this person said. But now I got that comment and I got quite excited because to me, it showed that, yes, if you compared me to a tarot reader, potentially my prices would be quite on the expensive side. There is some tarot readers charging more than me. There's some tarot readers charging less. It depends on the person's perspective of what it is that they're going into. Now, one, I charge my prices because I want to set them at a certain bar. I don't want somebody just to come for a short tarot reading and not have a transformational experience. My tarot readings are very much around reaching into your highest timeline and pulling that information down so that you can incorporate it into your 3D reality now. So that's a very different experience to what I've had in the past, where I've went to see a £20 tarot reader who did my tea leaves and probably said the same thing to me that she said to my friend afterwards. That was a very different experience. And I knew what I was getting when I went for a £20 tarot reading. But I also know what people are getting when they come to me for a £150 tarot reading. It's a coaching session. It's very different. And I'm able to stand in my power. And the fact that this person said that they were outrageous just allowed me to go, yes, they are, because I know what I'm offering. So that level of confidence has took time to build. But it's also a level of me standing in my power, knowing that my prices gets the energetic reaction from that person. So it really got me thinking about how many people lower their prices just because one person said they couldn't afford them. I've had this so many times with women that I coach where somebody reaches out and they're like, I really want to be part of it. I'd love to be part of your program. I'd love to be part of what you're offering. I just can't afford it. And it often gets them in that same spiral that I used to be in, where I would question my worth and I would question whether I should drop my prices, or is there another way to do it? Or could you offer like a mass payment plan? Or could you go out your way and speak to the person's husband? There was all these different things that women would do because one person has said they couldn't afford it. Now, one of the biggest lessons for me was I wanted to join a coaching program. And at the time, I couldn't afford to join it. And instead of going to the coach and saying, you're too expensive or I can't afford to join it, what I said to myself was, I am going to be in that program by the end of the year. And that commitment that I made to myself allowed me then to not only join that program by the end of the year, but pay in full. That intention that I set from that up level of seeing that price and going, oh, it's too expensive, I should blame the person. I went, that's out of reach for me currently. So I'm going to stretch myself into it, as in not stretch affordability wise. I didn't put myself in debt. Stretch in the way that I'm going to earn that money. I'm going to bring that money in. I'm going to attract that money because I am going to be in that program. And by the end of this year. And what happened was, not only was I in it, but I paid in full, because that reaction in me created a tidal wave of abundance coming in and ways for me to make that money. So even when you are thinking about how you want to join other programs, are you doing that? Are you sat in that victim mode thinking this is too expensive for me? Or are you going, right, this is a challenge. I am going to be in that program. I am going to be part of that. I need to make that happen. That is a different energy. So that is what I love you get to do with your pricing. You get to ask people to up level just by charging what you do. Just by people wanting to be a part of your space, you get to give them that chance to up level, to grow, to expand their opportunities, to think differently about money, just because the fact that maybe they can't afford it right now. And let's put this into context. So affordability is very, very subjective. At £50, someone will say they cannot afford it. If you charge £50 for a program, for a masterclass, whatever it is, there is going to be people in this world who cannot afford that. At £5,000, someone else will say they can't afford that. Your pricing is never the problem. It is about the alignment to it. So if I decided to put on a 3-day event that was free, not everybody could afford to do that. They might all sign up, but who is going to give their time and who is going to give their energy to that event? Not everybody who signs up will. So it's really thinking affordability is not just about the figure you place on it. Affordability is that investment. It's that commitment to somebody saying yes. It's that energy exchange. So the price point never, ever matters, because it doesn't matter what you charge, whether you charge 50, whether you charge 500, whether you charge 50,000, someone will not be able to afford it. But how many people will? And this is the thing. We stop to think about the people who can't afford it, but they're maybe not the yes right now. The people who can afford it, they are probably the yes that you're looking for. So why are you continuing to talk all the time to the people who can't afford something rather than the people who can? And it's not a case of anybody being better. It's just a case of people stepping up at different spaces. Like I said before, I got that opportunity to go, I can't be in that program this time round, but next time round, I am going to be there. And I was. And what that did for me, that really stretched my business. It allowed me to expand and grow in ways that I could not have done if I'd have just went, yeah, that's great, I can afford it today. Actually, I stepped up from not being in that program. And then when I was in that program, I was so much more ready for it. So the price does not matter. The price will grow and change. And it comes down to what it is you're comfortable offering, what it is you feel is a good exchange, because you've got to feel excited inviting these clients in. It's not just about what you're serving. We're not here to just serve and give away and give our time. That's our prostitute energy. So we really need to start to think of what lights us up as well, so that we get what we want from a program, so that we're getting that exchange back. Because if you're not lit up by the pricing, you're not going to deliver the same level of value. You're maybe going to overgive, which might overwhelm as well. So remember, being in your prostitute energy is not always the nicest thing to do, because if you overgive, sometimes you give too much, people can't take it in. So remember, where is your pricing coming from? Is it coming from that excited queen energy? Is it you standing in your power, you knowing that you offer this value? Or is it coming from that prostitute energy, or trying to think, if I charge less, more people will join? Those types of things. Clear sign of prostitute energy. And it also does not help you attract who you want to attract in. So get a price. The price doesn't even matter. It's just got to feel exciting. And it's just got to feel something like an energy exchange. And if you're at that point, that is your sweet spot. That is exactly what you should be offering. That's the first point. The next one does not mean this is accessible for everyone. So free does not mean accessible. Even free requires time, energy, and commitment. Like I touched on, if I did a free launch or I did a free 3-day event, it doesn't mean everybody has the space, time, and energy to be able to do it. Someone will always say they don't have the time or they don't have the headspace, which proves affordability is not just about the money. So please do not think, let's charge free for everything and then we can build it up. If it doesn't feel good to be free, then don't do it. If it feels brilliant to be free, then do it. That is my go-to. You don't have to have a freebie to attract people into your email list. I've done that before. It doesn't mean that they're engaged clients. It doesn't mean that they're bought into what it is that you're doing. You'd rather actually do something that's going to have an energy exchange so that you're getting the right type of people. Free does not mean that it's your energy that's going to be brought in. Sometimes free can open it up to people that, yes, they might commit to the time and the energy, but are they the right people to be in alignment with what you're offering? Not always. So sometimes it does help to start to go, is free the right option? Sometimes it is, and it's brilliant, but it needs to be the right option for you. But do not think it just means accessibility, because it doesn't. Not everyone is going to commit to free. And to be honest, when I first started my journey, I did free everything. I was literally the freebie queen. I was signed up to this, signed up to that, reading this ebook, reading that ebook, doing all of this. It was free and cheap as possible, and it wasn't sticking. It took me to invest in myself before the big energy exchange happened, before the big transformation happens. Sometimes when people are in that freebie zone, they're signing up to everything, but they're consuming. Because they're consuming, they're wanting something to fix them, which is exactly the approach I was wanting. I needed somebody to tell me what were my limiting beliefs and how do I fix them. And I would sign up to all these free things. They would tell me what my limiting beliefs were. We were able to uncover them very easily, but not actually tell me how to fix them. So it was always this cycle of consuming more, consuming more, consuming more. And I needed to invest. And if I hadn't took that leap and started investing in me, I wouldn't be sat here talking to you on this podcast now. So remember, free isn't always the right thing. And if you're helping these people who are going to be game changers in the game of life, then you need to start helping them to invest as well. Sometimes that's the kind of thing to do for people, because you're actually setting the bar and helping them reach it. So it's up to you whether you charge free. It just doesn't always mean the most accessible. It's got to feel good for both of you. The third thing, and I want you to really be comfortable with this, you are not here to be affordable for everyone. That is not your job. And I know, as people pleasers and women who want to be kind and want to be soulful, this can be really difficult. But you are not here to be affordable for everyone. You are here to price in alignment with the transformation, not meet everyone's budget. People's budgets are different, and people's budgets are always those things that shock you. I have people who would never spend the money on coaching or transformation that I do, or even in the prices that I charge, but then they would go and get their hair extensions done every 6 months, and that would cost them £1,000 plus. So people's idea of what is expensive, what should be cheap, what shouldn't be cheap, what's in budget, what's out of budget, it differs. So please do not try and be affordable for everyone. Do not try and second guess neither what is affordable for people. So don't allow yourself to think, oh, well, I know this person couldn't afford it last time, so they're not going to be able to afford it this time. Look at me in that first story. I couldn't afford that program the first time it came out. The second time I was right up for paying in full. So you never know somebody's circumstance. You never know what has changed. You never know what the stretch is. So please do not try and think of someone in your community or in your field and think, right, what could they afford? You've got to do it from the price that feels in alignment with the transformation. It is not about meeting budgets. If you try and price for everyone, you dilute your power. And what it does is attracts misaligned energy. I've done this in the past. I charged prices that were lower. And what happens is you get people who are actually slightly more demanding because, like I said at the beginning, what you tend to happen is you get that consumer energy rather than investor energy. So if you do go too cheap and you're trying to appease everyone, you're pouring that appeasing energy in. So you're making people come into your program, come into your space who are takers, who want it all from you because you are overgiving. So actually, you might be attracting people who are very demanding, who want a lot from you, who don't do the work because you are pouring that energy out of, I want to do this for you. Whereas actually, it's got to be an equal energy exchange so that you're attracting who it is you want in those spaces. So remember, being affordable doesn't always mean that it's going to help you in the long run. You might end up giving a lot more of your time and energy, which is not going to feel good, and you're going to end up resenting your clients, and no one wants that. The fourth thing is value versus time. Stop thinking in terms of hours or sessions. What tends to happen is we're built into this corporate mindset of thinking we get paid for the hours we work. And we bring this into our business constantly. But the hours you work does not reflect the transformation you give. The hours you work, if you're doing a painting, how could you charge for hours when the one might take you 4 hours, the next might take you 20 hours? Same if you're making jewelry, same if you're doing photo edits. All of these things, it's not about money for time. Money for time is the old way of looking at it when you were in a corporate role. We're not wanting to do that. What you are wanting to do is maximize your hours that you work. You want to get paid more for working less. You want to add more value in a shorter space of time. You want to see more clients in a shorter space of time. So it's not about time for money. It's about value for money. People aren't paying for your time anymore when you're in business. They're paying for your results, your wisdom, your energy, and the transformation that you facilitate. And this comes down to whether you've got a service product as well. If you have something like art or you have something like jewelry, it is not about the piece of art or jewelry. It is about what is the feeling that that gives that person. I had this brilliant conversation with one of my women out of the sisterhood. She's got the most amazing artwork. And I was saying to her, imagine the house that your artwork is in. Imagine the woman who looks at that artwork every day. Imagine that vibe in that house. And now think about what she pays for her art. That's how you want to be pricing it. If you're charging for your art, which is like a Home Bargains canvas versus a bespoke piece that you do, you can't be charging that type of pricing. What you need to charge is the one that woman looks at that every day and goes, that was an investment that I am super proud of. That was an investment that I feel just lights up my house. That is the type of energy you want. So it doesn't matter whether it's a product you're selling or whether it's a transformation you're selling. people still pay for the energy, they pay for the value of it. So start to think of what is it that brings. If you're selling jewelry, do you want a piece of jewelry that feels like the most expansive thing on their body, that looks at, oh my God, I spent this amount of money on this, and every time I wear it, it makes me feel rich and abundant? I know when I look at my rings on my hands, some days, because I love to wear lots of different rings, some days to make myself feel abundant, I will look down at my hands and I'll count up how many hundreds or thousands of pounds are sat on my fingers, because that makes me feel abundant. Because I've bought every piece of that jewelry and I love to mix and match. And some days when I'm feeling like I don't have the money, or those little niggly things creep in, I start to look down at my hands and I start to count how much money is sat on my fingers. And that sounds ridiculous, but it's such a powerful, abundant technique for showing how much you appreciate your money. And this is what you can deliver to other people. So start to think of it as value more than time. Time for money is not what you want to be charging. Value for money. And when I say value for money, don't slip into the prostitute energy and have it all give, give, give. Value as in transformation, energy, wisdom, results. It's like me. I'm paid for my mind. I'm paid for my voice. That is what I tell myself all the time. I am literally paid to speak, because that's what I bring. That's the transformation where my energy comes through, which sounds crazy when you think about it. I'm not physically doing something, but I'm paid to speak. And that energy is valuable. So really start to think about what is it value you're bringing and how can you start to charge for it, but charge for it in a really powerful way. And the fifth thing, your pricing is really part of your transformation. I've mentioned this right throughout, but your pricing is key to a person's transformation. A high-level client does not want to pay cheap. They want to stretch, they want to invest, they want to rise, they want to feel like they're getting exactly what they're paying for. So it is not about trying to be all for everyone. It's about who is your client, what is their energy, and what do they want to pay. Often when you ask it from that point of view, and you ask it from who is your highest level client that you are trying to work with, that is when you can step into the energy. So when I bought that program, I didn't want a cheap program. I wanted that program. And the fact that I was able to rise up and stretch into it was perfect for me. It gave me the transformation even before I started. So please do not base yourself on trying to please everyone. Think of the transformation you are bringing. Just like I said with the jewelry, just like I said with the artwork, it is exactly the same. Think of that transformation you are bringing someone. The price is often the very thing that calls them to that higher frequency. So I cannot describe the commitment and the energy that soared through my veins when I said I was going to be in that program. Something shifted in me in a deep cellular level. And that shift meant the energy around me, the universe responded. Things changed quickly, and my business started to succeed quickly. I've had other clients that have stepped up into my higher level programs. So things like the Unstoppable Success Mastermind or Elevate, which is the private client program. Now they are high ticket prices. And what's happened is people have stepped into them, and then suddenly it's opened a whole doorway of how they can see their business empire growing. A whole new avenue has opened up, or a whole new income stream has opened up just from that transformation of saying yes and joining that program. It opens up a higher level of frequency. Just like with my tarot readings, because I charge a decent amount for them, I get a high level of comms coming down from my angels and my guides. And it's amazing. When I think of how I used to read and how the information used to come versus how it comes now, and how free flowing and how high vibing, and sometimes it's the download to me doesn't make any sense, but to the other person, it's like the best thing I could ever possibly have said. This is my frequency rising and me becoming an open channel from offering it at the prices that I offer. It opens me up to a higher frequency of divine downloads. So please, especially if you're in a soulful business, do not mark yourself as cheap, because what you do is you narrow that download opportunity, you narrow that connection with the universe, because the universe does not want to see you cheap. It does not want to be feeding you information that feels cheap. It's high vibe energy, it's expansive energy, it's transformational energy. It wants to flow through you and it wants to feel good, and it wants you to feel good while doing it. So remember, it is all about upping that higher frequency. It isn't about just charging for everybody to have access to you. Not everybody gets to have access to your energy. Not everybody gets to have access to your programs. And I'm sorry, but that is just how it is. If everybody did have access, you probably wouldn't be able to accommodate them anyway, and then you would feel bad. So you might as well feel good about your charging and, shut the doors for a different reason. So for me personally, these teachings that I've went through, and I'll just recap them briefly. Affordability is subjective. £50 is expensive, £5,000 is expensive, £50,000 is expensive. It just depends on who you're asking. So affordability is subjective. Free does not mean accessible. Not everybody can afford free. So remember, it requires time, energy, commitment. Not everybody can give that. So it doesn't matter whether you charge free or not. Charge what feels right for you. Thirdly, you are not here to be affordable for everyone. Not everybody gets access to you. Not everybody gets access to your energy or your affordability. So allow that to be okay. Number 4, value versus time. Remember, you're not swapping your time for money. Let's that go. It's old patriarchy thinking. Let's just shoehorn that one out of there. We don't need it anymore. Number 5, your pricing is part of the transformation. You always need to bring that in. Your pricing is always part of the transformation. It's part of when you plan this amazing program, that should be part of the excited bit you get to do, that you get to think of what is the transformation that's going to bring the most energy to it. So add pricing, not as a chore and not as a thing that you need to get clarity about, because you never do. Add it as a piece of the puzzle that actually gets really exciting when you're planning these things out. And that'll start to change your energy on pricing too. And if you're feeling funny about the sales, go on and listen to last week's podcast. Talk about inviting, not selling. Now, this was something that I used to struggle with. I used to struggle with pricing all the time. I remember when I first did my first workshop on angel cards, and I was charging £25 for a workshop on how to read oracle cards, basically. And people hadn't started buying within the first couple of days. So what I decided in my ultimate wisdom was, do you know what? I shouldn't be charging £25 for this. I'm going to give it away for free. And that was just crazy. One, what I started doing was measuring the results before the cart had even closed. The cart hadn't closed, it had been open for a few days, and I just had a panic and decided free was better. That was the energy I used to be in for pricing. So if you'd have had a conversation with me then and said that you were going to have, high ticket masterminds or high ticket coaching offerings where you work with clients for a year and charge 5 figures, I'd have absolutely laughed that person out of the park. I'd have thought, I cannot see a way forward to do that. I cannot ever see that is the way to do it. But what really shifted with me is when I started to become more confident and I started to see the energy of what I did, I started to change my prices slowly over time. And it wasn't something I jumped up straight away, but it was something I did over time. And then there was a big shift that happened when I first launched my mastermind 2 years ago now, or maybe 3 years ago, but it was the mastermind and it was the Miraculous Success Academy at the time, which is now USM. And that mastermind, I remember charging a high ticket for me at the time. It was what I thought was a high ticket price. And something in me decided that was really worth it. The transformation I wanted, the energy I wanted of the people in there. There was something behind me energetically that got so behind the price that when I was having those conversations, I didn't have any angst over the amount I was charging. I didn't have any issue offering the price I was charging. I was happy having those client conversations. I was happy with the energy of it. And there was no part of me that decided that was too expensive, even though to some people they couldn't afford it. But the energy that I felt, I found it was easier to sell that high ticket mastermind than it was to sell my £25 workshop. And that sounds crazy because the price to join was over £4,000 at the time. And that was the highest I'd ever charged for a program. And I was offering this and having calls and talking through it and talking about the price. And I actually felt good talking about that figure more than I did asking somebody for £25. So when I said it's not about the money, it's never about the money. It's about the alignment. I've just had a call over the last couple of months and took somebody into Elevate, which is my highest package. That is my premium one-to-one package where somebody gets to work with me personally for a year. And that program is a 5-figure sum. And I had that conversation. I mentioned the price. I didn't even blink. I didn't even tense up. There was no, oh, should I offer this? Should I offer a discount? Should I do this? None of that energy. I was so in my power behind that price that felt easier to talk about than that £25 to join a workshop. So it is never, ever about your pricing. And your pricing will continue to rise and it'll continue to go up. And you might have some high ticket prices. You might have some low ticket prices. You might have a mixture. There's no right or wrong. There's a complete mix on my website. There's programs and courses from $88 right up to $5,000. There is no set amount that needs to be right, but it's about your energy and your confidence behind your pricing that makes a difference. So remember, it is never about you charging less to make you feel more comfortable. If you're feeling like you need to charge less to feel more comfortable, that's a sign that for some reason you need to shift some energy about it so that you actually understand what it is you're offering rather than changing the pricing. So make sure your energy is aligned to it. Make sure your energy is backing it. Make sure you feel excited and also you are confident in what you're offering. And that doesn't come from self-doubt. You know what you're offering. You know how good your offers are. You know how amazing you are. It's time to start telling yourself that because it's time to start getting paid what you deserve. It's time to start getting paid for exactly what you've done. And believe me, I'm talking to these women who have studied their craft for years, put the time in, put the work in. You know what you're doing. Don't second guess yourself. Do not doubt yourself and do not let price be the blocker. And this is exactly why the Unstoppable Success Mastermind is priced the way it is. Because women who are stepping into that space, they're not just paying for calls on a calendar. They're investing in a 12-month transformation program that rewires their energy, their wealth, and their leadership. They're saying yes to becoming unstoppable, and the investment is part of that initiation. It is not just another thing that's on the list. It's part of that transformation. It's part of those stepping into that mastermind and going, I am here, and this year is the year that I go all in. And that energy, that commitment, that vibe takes a certain price point. So that's exactly what I was thinking when I priced it the way I did. And this is the type of thing that we go through in USM as well. We get you into that space where you know exactly what you're offering, you know exactly what you should be charging, you're comfortable charging those prices, and you're probably comfortable upping those prices too. Because this isn't about staying stagnant. This is about growing your empire with soul. So if you're ready to stop questioning your value, stop shrinking so that your prices fit other people's budgets, and start owning the transformation you're here to deliver, then maybe USM is the next step for you. I'd love to see you in there, and I'm happy to talk that through if anybody wants to chat more. So if you do, click the link in the show notes and book a call, and we can explore whether it's the right thing for your path. For now, here's what I want you to remember. Not everyone can afford you, and that is okay. Your job is not to be affordable for everyone. Your job is to price for transformation, to stand in your value, and to hold the door open for the right women to walk through. Because when they do, everything changes. And not just for you, for them as well. So take that with you and go and have a look at your pricing and see whether you've fallen into any of these traps and you need to little tweak or dial them up. Because you're here for great things. You are here to become unstoppable. Don't let pricing get in the way. Catch you next time.